This is another edition of Success Talk with Dr. Herbert Harris. We had a great interview with Luvenia Meekins today, and I want to just cover some additional points because some of the points that she made in this interview were just, I think, instructive points that you can learn from and help transform your life. So we want to delve back into a couple questions a moment. Thank you so much for giving us this additional time, Luvenia.
You're welcome. You're welcome, sir. It's an honor.
You know, you were talking about leaving home, and I think this is something that many of our young people now, you notice there's you know how when we were young, we wanted to get away, and most of now young people want to stay home. Yeah. And so this thing of leaving home, what was the driving force? You were sharing a little about, maybe just share a little about your early background, but the driving force that gave you the courage to leave home.
Driving force that is my mother and my father. They taught me from a child up to be independent, to be an independent thinker, and don't take no different. Don't let nobody tell you you're no different. I started at 7 years old. My mother would write a check and send me into the bank and tell me what to say to the bank lady, whatever, I forgot the name.
The teller.
The teller. And she would give me instructions. So I started like real young, following instructions. And I started the school of learning very young. She would say, go in there and give Miss Mary this check and tell her, and you wait and ask her, your mother said to give you this. And she told me to wait for a receipt. So I started very young being an independent thinker because, you know, you had no time to be other than that, being that I was from the South. During school time, my mother never had to come to school to say that, oh, her child went to school and she acted out in this class. She never had to come to school, not one time for anything of that nature for all 8 of us, all 9 of us, I'm sorry.
You had nine brothers and sisters?
I had 6 sisters and 3 brothers.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Now, you were sharing a little about being a sharecropper. And I want to just tell the listeners a little, when you say my family was sharecroppers, what that meant.
My family, that means tenant farmers. Basically, after slavery, my granddaddy was born in 1900, which is my mom's dad, and my grandmother was born in 1901. So my mother was raised in that type of environment, and that environment was passed on to us. So it was a little after slavery that African Americans could not do for themselves after slavery ended. So they stayed and remained on the farm to get a certain amount of money for working the land for their owners, their slave owners at that time. So they would give them, say, okay, so you farm this land with me. At the end of the season, I'm going to give you my granddad would farm land. And at the end of the season, he had all his children. My mother is one of 14 kids.
Wow.
Her mother and daddy had 14 children. Yes, sir. And everybody, most of them didn't know how to write. Half of them knew how to write. The other half didn't. That's the ones that had to stay home and work the farm.
Yeah.
So we worked the farm, and they at the end of the season, they would pay my granddaddy a certain fee. But during the time of the season, the owner of the land had a store where my granddaddy would go and buy stuff throughout the season, things that he needed for his household to take care of his 14 kids. And at the end of the season, most times my granddaddy wouldn't make any money, any significant money by even the family farming the land, because the owner would say, Will, we broke even. That means that he didn't get much out of being a sharecropper.
Wow.
So that's the life I came from. My majority of my family, I'm the one of about 75 first cousins. All of us lived out there.
Yeah.
There's an area down here in North Carolina that our whole family lived out there, even up until we got a certain age. 18 years old, that's when I decided I didn't want to work on the farm no more. I couldn't see myself doing this the rest of my life. And there wasn't many opportunities in school for me as a Black woman. More or less, there were more opportunities for my Caucasian brothers and sisters, and my Indian, Native American brothers and sisters. But as for African American, The counselor never would call any African American to the office and say, I have some opportunity for you. And all of my family, we went through high school and graduated. Majority of us did.
Wow.
So, but there never was any opportunity given to us to say, we can go to college. It never was taught. Because I didn't come from a family that went to college.
Yeah.
My mom, none of her siblings did.
Wow.
My mom, out of 14 of them, none of them had a college degree. So they couldn't tell me about college because they didn't go to college.
Yeah. Yeah.
They worked on the farm.
Yeah. Now, did you have family in New York when you went there?
More or less, my husband's side of the family was there. As I stayed there for a while, my mom began to reach out to some of her family that was there, and they got in touch with me. So I began to know that I had more family up there. I had family. He had more family than me.
Okay.
So I navigated towards my husband's family.
Okay. So and the point out, and there's a whole book about the Great Migration, how so many of our people moved from the South to the North, and an important part of that was knowing somebody, having family, somebody who was already there. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Half of my mother's siblings, they migrated to New York. Some to the city where they worked and worked in people's houses out in Long Island to take care of their kids, work for judges and lawyers and doctors. And my mother's side of the family moved, and some of them moved up to West Point, New York, up near upstate New York. Yeah. And most of them got jobs working at the West Point, being chefs, and they retired from being chefs. So a lot of them are still upstate, up in Hudson Valley, New York now.
Wow.
Her sister, her brothers, they were military, worked for the military until they retired.
And that's something. Yeah. So they were the chefs there at West Point.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah. I also worked at West Point too when I lived up there as a hostess for the West Point Club. I worked as a hostess along with them for about 2 years.
Wow. Now that should have been interesting, because you sure got a whole nother look at the world.
I did. I met Colin Powell, Ben Carson. I met a lot of famous people there when I worked there. It was a whole nother world for me, and I enjoyed being a host for the military and their families there. Went to work every day, and it was wonderful meeting all different people from all over the world, and they have such respect. The way they train them, that the young militaries say, like, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. I mean, so I met a lot of interesting people along the way.
Yes. Wow.
Yes, sir.
That's beautiful.
Sir.
Now that's a whole nother side there. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So so you worked there, and then you went into that medical billing area. Now you were sharing that you've always been a people person, helping your family, working with your family, and that led you into the medical arena. And was there anything that you really liked about that medical area?
I wanted to do management, in which I am a coordinator now. So because I see some disparities with how some patients got treated and how other patients got treated. And I felt that every patient should get treated the same. So I really wanted to do management in medical, like a nurse management, clinical director. I really had a desire to do that, but being that I was working full time and taking care of my kids and being a full time wife, I was the type of wife that he would have the food waiting for him when he got home, whatever. Old school. I'm an old school type of woman. So that's management part is a very key part in my life of making a change. I'd like to navigate towards management because I feel I can make a change with my voice.
Wow. Now, that's rare, because a lot of times, people of color don't want to be managers.
Well, that's true, but only way you can make a difference is by using your title sometimes, and making an imprint in life is by the title that you give it. Because if you're sitting here as like I said, you could be a CEO, or you could be the CFO, vice president, vice president. But if you got a management position, your voice will go a little bit farther with making a change. Speaking up for the rights of the patients, speaking up for the rights of the workers. Being that voice that they can't speak. And
Yeah.
I always been that voice because a lot of times the people get intimidated by me because that's the type of voice I have.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you sure have your voice. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Another highlight I wanted to make, you were talking about being the vice president of the A. Philip Randolph organization. And I just wanted to reemphasize that to our young people, that how those organizations were so critical. The A. Philip Randolph, Bayard Rustin, everybody talks about Dr. King, and I have a dream that there would have been no Dr. King and no dream probably if these organizations had not come together. So maybe you could just share a little about the impact of those organizations. Yeah.
Sir, the impact is tremendous. I mean, there was a county we went into. We had to do a campaign in this county where there are virtually no blacks in this county. And at first, some of the workers were scared. I said, no, we're going to get out here. We're going to go out here to the community. And the ones that want to listen, that we're going to talk to them. And everybody is not like, everybody's not alike. So I said, I kind of give encouragement to the young people to go ahead and, you're going to go make a difference. You're going to be here when I'm not here. So don't be afraid to talk. Be professional. Be respectful. Is to say no. So he said, thank you for your time. You have a blessed day and you have a wonderful day. So I take a key point in young people learning that what you do is going to make a difference in your future. What we do now is definitely going to make a difference in their future. We're not just being out here just to be seen. We're out here to make a difference and to leave our trail, a path on that trail. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
And then the more young people we get involved, the more they begin to realize, to know what's going on around them in their community. We need to teach them how to handle themselves when they're around the police department. Because my sons got harassed even in New York. And I, as a parent, did not know what to do at that time. There was times my teenager would come in the door and the police would come in the door right behind him. I lived in a suburban area of state New York. Suburban. And in the suburbs.
Yeah. And so, it's still happening.
And it's still happening. I didn't know what to tell my young son then. But now I look back, I said, man, I see what my sons went through. But it didn't make them bitter. It just made them better. They have good, yes.
Stop the mic. I love it. It said it didn't make them bitter. It made them better.
Better. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And this is really another evolution of the whole union movement. That's what I'm liking, that what you are now is a new part of the new union movement.
Yes.
So that this A. Philip Randolph and those unions that were at the heart of the civil rights movement are still alive. A lot of people don't know they're still around.
They don't. This is uncharted territory, Dr. Herbert, that we're treading on now. It's uncharted, and it's ready. It's ready. It's uncharted. It has to be done. No use in turning deaf ears to anything. Not no use in us acting like we're blind and we can't see what's going on. Now we got to go out there and all boots must be on the ground. Everybody's feet must be on the ground. And everybody must be awake. It's time for us to awake. Awake to our surroundings. If you can't go and march in these big time marches, or what? Look around your community and see what you can do. There's a lot to be done around your community. There's so much to be done. There's so many laws that has to get changed. The only way we're gonna get change is one law at a time. There's so many bills that's being written up, and we sitting and we're not acting like anything is going on, and it's really beginning to really affect our people. A lot of laws. You see them coming in with these big highways. You see them making these 4-lane highways. What's that's gonna do? That's gonna do regentrification. That's gonna move all of us out and bring income, bring everything up. The prices are going up.
Yes.
So there's laws that's got to be put into place to fight for the rights of others and fight for that person that can't get up and speak for themselves and stand up for themselves.
Wow. Yes. Ooh. Luvenia, we have, it's funny. This segment you're laying such powerful words and such with such conviction that when I think back at how you made your transition,
Yes, sir.
those obstacles that you were able to overcome, and you were sharing your biggest obstacle, and maybe you could tell us about that, how you handled it, because I feel a different fire in your voice now. How you the biggest challenge you had, the biggest obstacle, and how you got beyond that.
My biggest obstacle was sometimes your biggest obstacle in life sometimes is walking away from someone that you really, really love.
Oh,
And yeah,
yeah.
um, that was a battle. I had to
Uh-huh.
walk away.
Uh-huh.
I had to walk away and I had to choose my peace over sanity. I had to
Yeah.
choose my peace. And that's what I did. That's what drove me back here to North Carolina.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. And you were saying how that when you make a decision like that, you were coming out of a a a, a bad relationship, and that the church and there was nobody there to really help you. And how did you keep going though?
Some days it was rough, but when I looked around and I saw how many my children were depending on me, not only my children, my grandkids, my house was the house where everybody had Sunday dinner. Um, I worked within the church with the children's choir, Sunday school teacher, the share program that they had back in New York City. I worked out in the community with that. I worked in Rikers Island. So I put all the pain that I had, I put it into purpose.
Woo! Pain and the purpose. God have mercy. I gotta write that down. Pain and the purpose. Mm, mm.
And
With
I
any,
stepped
yeah.
outside my door every day, and I did that every day, and I felt a lot better. I felt
Wow.
a lot better.
Yeah. Now, were any disappointments you experienced along the way?
Um, the disappointments is that when you're trying to get to that next level in life, and you're meeting roadblocks, and some people have some information that they can help you with. The disappointment is the mentality of our people that have crabs in the barrel kind of effect.
Uh-huh.
If you see all the crabs in the barrel, when you try to pull one crab out, all the other one was clasping for that crab. That's the biggest obstacle I have faced and still continue to face when you got crabs in the barrel.
Mm. People put, like I say, blocking the way, standing in the middle of the door. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
And it's within my race. It's within our race. We not only have to go through obstacles faced when we go outside our door to deal with what's going on in this country. It's within our integration of our race also. That mentality.
Yeah.
You can go so far, but don't do better than me.
Mm. Now that's sort of something. I guess that's one of those carryovers from the slavery mentality, huh?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. It's been
Mm.
embedded in us, and it's been embedded in some of our people, and it's hard to break that. Some of us got this effect where, oh, I'm gonna beat you. That
Mm-hmm.
that mentality came from the slave. I'm gonna beat you with a belt. I'm gonna beat you. When you
Mm.
can talk to your child, you can talk to them. You can sit down and say, "Now you see what you did. It was wrong," and I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
explain it why. They say, "Well, why, Mama?" Because that hurt somebody's feelings. That you can't do stuff like that because you want them to do you that way. And I have a sign in my office: "Do as unto others as you would have them do unto you." Be nice. I got a sign in my office: "Be honest, and do unto others as you would have them do unto you."
Wow.
That's on the front of my desk when you walk in my office.
That's right. All right now.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. Now I just want to cover a couple of questions, and because this you're on fire now, lady. I mean, you pain into purpose. Woo! Lord have mercy. I tell you, you dropping them. Yeah. Now,
Yes,
now,
sir.
we talked about it before, but I was asking you, what would you tell your younger self? That self that was leaving the farm, that self that was going up into really unknown territory. What advice would you give your younger self?
I would say to my younger self, thank you for what you done. I know it was scary
Uh-huh.
leaving home from your familiar surroundings. It was very scary. I was from the country and I went to the big city. So I would say, thank you for persevering and not giving up on you. And therefore, not giving up on yourself, you didn't give up on others either.
Wow. Thank you for persevering. Because I know it was tough. You know,
It
coming.
was. Yes,
Yeah.
it was, sir. Yes, it
Yeah.
was. It was. It wasn't no meal ticket. It
Yeah.
wasn't easy.
I hear you. Yeah. And then I was saying, when I asked you about your older self, you said something very powerful. You said, let me see, how'd you put it again? I said, well, what advice would you give your old 25 years down the line? You said something powerful. I was so busy listening, I didn't make a note. But 25 years down the line, what would you tell your present self?
You did a great job, and I'm
That's
proud
it.
of you.
You did
You
a
did a
great job.
great job. And thank you for not giving up.
Wow.
Thank you for not giving up. And thank you for leaving your fingerprints in this world.
Yes. That's it. Leaving your fingerprints
Your
in the
mark.
world. Your
Yes.
mark. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. So now you are you're heading up the hospice unit.
Yes, sir.
You're coordinating the hospice volunteers, and you must do some serious training with those people, because with that group of volunteers, because that's such a unique experience to help people make that transition. How do you handle your training, and what do you do special?
I do a special training. I invite my volunteers to the hospice house. We have a monthly meeting where I show PowerPoints on death and dying, and how to talk with what things not to say to the caregivers and what to say.
Yes.
They have to be key trained. I interview every volunteer, even though they're offering the service free to us. I interview them. I invite them into my office for an interview before I even hire them. Before I bring them on board, I interview them and I ask them, why is it that what makes you want to, why do you want to work with hospice? And then they begin to tell me they had a loved one there. Most time it's a loved one who passed away there, that they see how we treat the patients and they see how we offer services to the families, not only to the patients. We make sure the family's okay, that they have everything they need, because when a person gets sick and that person's primary income is their income,
yes,
and that income is the only income they have,
yeah,
that them caregivers go through it.
wow.
And so we have to have a service in place. That's where the social worker fits in. And we have a chaplain on the premises. We have our manager, and we have the volunteers play a key role in that.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, sir.
See, now that's something I didn't know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Sir. You're welcome. You're
well,
welcome.
I tell you, Luvenia, I tell you, we've really done 2 interviews, but this portion is so, you're like hitting some real power buttons. And so as we wrap up now, as you're going forth now with the union organization and the hospice organization, where do you see yourself going over these next? What is next on your agenda? Number one.
Well,
yeah. What is next on your agenda?
Number one is to make a change in this community, in my area. Not only, hopefully, to reach out globally within the states and then globally, towards making a change in other communities as well.
And so, any final words now that you've given such? I mean, you came back with such clarity. Any final words to our audience to really help them?
Just walking your purpose. Stay in tune for my book soon. I'll be writing my memoirs about my life. So there's a lot I didn't say on here, and I thank Dr. Herbert for giving me the platform to be able to reach out into the area and into the community. Stay in tune with your gift. Stay in tune with your gift. Stay in tune with your calling. No matter what, you got to sometimes mute those voices in your ear from other people that you love. Sometimes you got to turn away from people that you love to go towards your purpose.
Woo. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Luvenia, I tell you, you have. What they say, you come back for a double dose. I thank you so much for all that you've shared with us. To our listeners, to our listeners, I'm so glad that we were able to double back, because what you've heard this time was some serious nuggets. When you said turn pain into purpose, that was like Moses coming down and written on the stone, because so many people are in pain, so many people suffer, and to turn it into purpose, that there's a reason that God's taking you through this so that you can grow through it and so that you can go to who you were designed and created to be. So thank you so much, Luvenia, for sharing these words
Welcome.
with us.
You're welcome.
And to our listeners, you've been blessed with a double dose. But let me say this, that some of the words that you heard today, pain into purpose, that stuck with me. These are words that can help you handle the challenges, handle the disappointments, handle the shortcomings, handle the failures, that can help you be what you want to be, do what you want to do, and have anything you desire, always knowing that the best is yet to come. And so it is.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you. All right.
Have a blessed day. Take
Have a
care.
blessed day, and thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
Bye-bye now.